When we first met with Four Paws Walking, we were one of the things that struck us straight away was that the organisation was after two kind of key target markets. The first being the people that would want their dogs walked. Now, who are these people? Well, they're probably urban dwellers, reasonable standard of living, but the overarching factor being the fact that they've got very little time. That's why they can't walk their dogs. The other audience or target market is the people who actually will walk the dogs for the other people. Now, again, these people have more time on their hands, so they may be older people. They may be people who don't necessarily have a full-time job, that kind of thing. So these two groups probably have a different outlook on life. So it's very important that any approach that we take doesn't alienate either of those groups. So with that in mind, the first approach that we designed was a very photographic approach, clean, professional looking, to make sure that we reassured the people who want their dogs walked that this is a reliable organisation. The other approach that we took was more of a comic kind of approach, because we're also aware that, whether they're dog walkers or owners themselves, people have quite a, they love their pets, they have a friendly relationship with their pets. So we designed a very colourful, vibrant, kind of happy kind of approach as an alternative. In terms of actual layout of the site designs, one thing that we were conscious of is the fact that this is kind of a new business offering. It's kind of a new idea. So it's very important that there isn't too much text on the home pages, and that text is very succinct and to the point, so that people understand as soon as possible what this concept is. So you'll notice that in both, the text that's been chosen for the home pages, you can read it in 20 to 30 seconds, and then you should have a very clear idea of what Four Paws Walking is about. I mean, at the end of the day, people using the internet, they tend to whiz around, they don't have time, then they won't be prepared to read lots of text about something. Another thing that we're very conscious of is that because of this thing with people and their attention span online, is that it had to be very, very easy to click to the next stage. So if you wanted to register as a walker, or you wanted to register as an owner of a pet, it's very, very easy and clear how you get to that place. You'll see on both examples that your eye is drawn to those buttons straight away. In terms of the actual logos that were produced for the layouts as well, I think they again reflect the nature of the overall design. So on the photographic approach, the Four Paws Walking is quite a corporate, clean, professional and reliable based approach, whereas on the cartoon one you've actually got the little cartoon dog and the lettering is done in a cartoon style. Colour can be very important when giving a feel to a website. So for instance, it's quite apparent on the cartoon approach that you've got very vibrant colour that adds to that feeling of fun, and again the eye-catching nature of the page. Whereas on the photographic approach, the overall colour of the site, well, it's got a brown background, but that's supposed to be unobtrusive, because the important thing is that your eye is drawn to the photograph. That's where all the colour's held, and also colour is used within the buttons again to draw your attention to click on those buttons, and whether there be special offers or any key text. In terms of layout, we've obviously tried to make sure that different type of information is broken up into different sections on the page, bearing in mind that you don't need lots and lots of text on a home page, because people aren't prepared to read lots and lots of text. So on both approaches, the actual introduction text, that key text that you need to read to understand about the offering, is contained either within the centre of the page or on the left-hand side of the page, which is where people tend to look first, obviously reading left to right. And then there's also a section about special offers, which is over on the right. It's there to be looked at if you've read the main introductory text and you're then interested in seeing what the special offers are. In terms of layout of navigation, It's important to put the navigation again in a place where people always look first. So for instance, in both cases, it's on the left hand side, and in the case of the photographic approach, it's up near the top of the page as well. So it's always a constant point of reference for people when they start moving through the site. They can always find the navigation to get themselves around quickly. Typography is an important element of any piece of design. Obviously, naturally, in a print design where there's lots and lots of text, it is very important, and the choice of font can change the feel of any piece of design that you create. Online, you have less freedom for a number of reasons. One being, as I've already mentioned, people aren't prepared to read lots of text online, so you have less freedom to play with different types of font. But legibility is a very important issue. There are certain fonts which just don't work well read off screen, and there are particular fonts that have been designed to work well off screen. So we, as a general rule, we try and make sure that we pick fonts that are very legible when used digitally, but also we try and make sure that text is well spaced, that you can use bold and italic to bring out certain points, and this is important for all users. We also have to make sure that there's enough contrast between the background and the actual text itself, because there are users with disabilities who need to be taken into account. So it's very important that we don't use small, difficult to read text.